What if one of the most famous, tragic love stories in history was never meant to be romantic at all? What if the Narcissus and Echo story wasn't just a myth about vanity and heartbreak, but a weapon? A carefully crafted story used to teach people how to behave, whom to love, and what would happen if they dared to step outside the rules. This isn't just mythology. This is social engineering, written in the language of gods and curses. In the ancient world, myths weren't just bedtime stories. They were the operating system of society. They explained why the world was the way it was, who had power, who didn't, and what happened to you if you questioned that order. In ancient Greece, myths were repeated in homes, in temples, in theaters, and in schools. They were the stories children grew up with and the warnings adults quietly lived by. And like any good form of control, they didn't sound like rules. They sounded like entertainment. The Narcissus and Echo story is one of those, a tale of a beautiful young man, a lovesick nymph, and divine punishment. But hidden under the tragic poetry is a very clear message. Too much pride will destroy you. Too much desire will destroy you. And if you forget your place, the gods will make an example out of you. Before this myth could shape behavior, it needed unforgettable characters. First, Echo. In most versions, Echo is a mountain nymph, a minor spirit of nature. She's cheerful, talkative, and importantly, not powerful. One day, she makes a fatal mistake. She helps Zeus cover up his affairs by distracting his wife Hera with constant chatter. When Hera discovers the trick, she doesn't punish Zeus, she punishes Echo. She curses her so she can no longer speak freely. She can only repeat the last words spoken by someone else. Echo loses her voice, her agency, her power to express herself. She becomes a person who can never truly say what she feels. Then we meet Narcissus. He's the opposite, a mortal, but so breathtakingly beautiful that everyone falls in love with him. In some versions, a prophecy is given at his birth. He will live a long life, as long as he never knows himself. Narcissus grows up admired by everyone, men, women, nymphs, but he rejects them all. Not politely, cruelly. He treats their love as an inconvenience. He believes he's above them. One day, Narcissus goes hunting in the woods. Echo sees him and is instantly captivated. She follows him silently between the trees, longing to speak, but trapped by Hera's curse. Narcissus senses someone nearby. "Who's there?" he calls out. "Who's there?" Echo repeats. He calls again. She echoes again. It becomes a strange, painful game. He speaks, she reflects. Finally, she gathers the courage to step out and embrace him. This is her moment, the moment every version of the story builds toward, the chance to confess her love. But all she can do is repeat his words. Narcissus pulls away in disgust. In one version, he says, "I would rather die than let you have me." And that is exactly what Echo is doomed to relive. His rejection, over and over, until she fades away. Her body wastes to nothing. Only her voice remains, trapped in cliffs and caves, repeating the words of others. A woman who dared to love ends up as nothing but an echo. Her story is over, but Narcissus's punishment is just beginning. Echo isn't the only one hurt by Narcissus. According to some traditions, other lovers he rejected prayed for revenge. One asks, "Let him love, and never obtain the one he loves." The gods listen. Enter Nemesis, the goddess of retribution, the force that corrects arrogance and punishes those who think they're untouchable. Nemesis decides that Narcissus needs to feel what he's made others feel, desire without hope. So she leads him to a still, clear pool. Narcissus leans over to drink and sees a face in the water. Perfectly shaped, flawless, beautiful. He falls in love instantly. He doesn't understand that he's staring at himself. Narcissus becomes obsessed with the image in the water. He tries to speak to it. It says nothing. He reaches for it. It shatters into ripples. He waits for it to return, terrified it might vanish forever. He can't leave. He won't eat. He won't sleep. He is trapped, not by chains, not by prison bars, but by his own desire. In some tellings, he realizes too late that the image is himself. In others, he never understands. But the result is the same. He wastes away, staring at the one love he can never possess. When he dies, a flower appears where his body was. The Narcissus. Beautiful. Delicate. Rooted in place, forever bent toward its own reflection. On the surface, it's a poetic tragedy. Underneath, it's something else entirely. A warning label. So how does this become a weapon? Remember where myths lived. In homes, in schools, in ritual. Adults told this story to children. Teachers and philosophers used it as an example in moral lessons. Playwrights and poets repeated it in front of crowds. Behind the drama, the signals are very clear. For young men like Narcissus, the message is, do not be too proud. Do not think yourself above others. Rejecting love, mocking those who care for you, and being consumed by your own image, these are not just rude, they are fatal. In a culture where social harmony mattered, where arrogance could threaten the balance of the community or challenge the gods, Narcissus is the perfect horror story. For young women like Echo, the message is, love can destroy you. Speaking out can ruin you. If you get involved in the affairs of powerful men, like Echo did with Zeus and Hera, you will pay the price, even if they don't. Echo ends with no body, no agency, no voice of her own. You can either be silent or be punished. The Narcissus and Echo story wasn't simply about vanity or unrequited love. It was a behavioral script. Too much pride? You die alone, obsessed with yourself. Too much desire? You fade away, like Echo. Question the gods? They don't argue with you. They don't debate you. They rewrite your body and your fate. By wrapping these rules in a haunting, unforgettable story, Greek society didn't need to constantly enforce every rule with force. The story did the work for them. People policed themselves. They didn't want to be a Narcissus. They didn't want to be an Echo. And here's the part that makes this more than just ancient history. We still use stories this way. We warn people about being too full of themselves. We label others as narcissists. We tell cautionary tales about loving too hard, wanting too much, reaching above our place. The myth might be ancient, but the pattern is familiar. Take a powerful human impulse, pride, desire, ambition. Wrap it in a tragic story. Repeat it so often that people start to fear the impulse itself. In the end, the Narcissus and Echo story is more than just a sad love story. It's a mirror held up to a society that feared what happens when individuals start thinking or loving for themselves. The Greeks turned beauty and love into a warning. The only question is, how many of the stories we believe today are doing the exact same thing? You've been watching Hidden Epochs, where we uncover the hidden purposes behind the stories that shaped our world. If you want to see more myths, disasters, and mysteries with a darker, deeper side, make sure to stick around for the next episode. History doesn't just remember what happened, it remembers what someone wanted you to believe.